Notre vidéoblog, cette semaine, on rencontre deux organisations, deux personnes qui sont à la tête de deux organisations importantes dans notre communauté. Tout d'abord, à la tête de Tourisme Ottawa, Michael Crockett. Je rencontre Michael pour comprendre qu'est-ce que Tourisme Ottawa fait présentement pour se préparer lors d'une relance, quels sont les risques. Alors, apprenez-en davantage. Et puis, la deuxième personne, c'est Zach, qui est le nouveau dirigeant de Marche Ottawa. Marche Ottawa, c'est une organisation qui gère toute la vente dans le marché. Surtout, on parle de fermiers, on parle d'artisans, on parle du bâtiment du marché. Alors, en voici un petit aperçu.
Hi, everyone. As I said, my video blog this week, we're meeting with the head of Ottawa Tourism and the executive director at Ottawa Markets. I'm glad to be joined by Michael Crockett. Michael, thank you for taking the time. I know it's a very stressful time. I know your entire team is dedicated to supporting the members, the tourism in Ottawa, and in this very challenging time. So thank you for taking the time today. How are you and the team hanging in there?
Well, thanks, Councillor, for having me today. It is, as you know, it's a very, very unique, challenging situation for our industry, for our organization. I think industry-wise, it's never been hit like this before, and organization-wise, we are just doing our best to figure it out and figure out what the best path forward for our city is right now, and it certainly is affecting all parts of our business. And yeah, there's some creativity, some great creativity taking place with festivals going to more virtual scenarios. But when actual demand for visitation is close to zero, which it is right now, that does have ripple effects all throughout the visitor economy, and as you say, all those businesses who really depend on it. And I think what the nice thing is, though, is we know that tourism and travel do bounce back when there's deep cuts to those businesses. And our job right now is really to make sure that we're working with all of our members and working with our partners at all levels of government to make sure that Ottawa is ready to welcome visitors, and that we are in the market making sure that those visitors know that we are open and we are welcome to them once it's safe to travel again. What we're trying to do is learn from some other destinations and some other countries and cities that are a little ahead of us, maybe on the COVID-19 curve. So we're seeing what's happening and what's opening up in places like China and Korea, and what some of the rules around that are. I'm not enough of an investigator to tell you when or what might happen, but I can tell you that our industry is very, very keen to understand what the new rules of the game are going to be, and when things will start to open, and will it be staged, and what parts of the industry can open first. And I know that they're all going to be ready to adapt to what those new rules are. It's a very adaptable industry, and of course, it's very important for Ottawa tourism as well. We need to understand the messaging that we can put out there to not only our local community, but also to visitors, potential visitors from other parts of the country and other parts of the world eventually, about what they can expect when they come to Ottawa. And I think you nailed it. I mean, we've got the best of both urban and rural experiences all in one city. We've got the French, the English, the Indigenous cultures all in one city. Anything you want to experience from a Canadian cultural perspective, you can do in Ottawa. So we're very fortunate that way. I think we think people are really going to want to reconnect with their capital once this crisis is over. This is the place where important decisions and important things happen, and this crisis has been a great example of that. A lot of important decisions and discussions have taken place right here in our city in the last couple of months.
Good morning, everyone. So our video blog this week, we are fortunate to be joined by the new executive director of Ottawa Markets, Zach. Good morning, Zach.
Hey, how are you, Matt?
Good. It's super early. Have you had your coffee yet?
I do. I have it right here with me. We're ready to go.
And you're safe from home. I imagine you're really busy with your new roles and responsibility. Tell us briefly about yourself and about Ottawa Markets for those who might not be as familiar with the organization.
For sure. So for myself, I've been working in Ottawa for over 10 years now, working in the business improvement area. I also worked for a local member of parliament. So I've been really active in the community from Ottawa Centre through to the west. I've lived in the Byward Market, obviously experiencing the market. And I come from the background of being schooled in urban planning. So I come at Ottawa Markets really with the idea of a vision of the precinct, of the area, and what a market does to sort of drive that experience. And I think it's no shock to anybody that the market has sort of come through some ebbs and flows over the years.
Yeah.
It's one of the most historic destinations in the city. I mean, dating back to 1826. So of course it's going to experience some growth and some bad times and some good times.
Oldest market in Ontario, I often get reminded of. So
yeah. So it does have a rich history. And so as we look forward, really in the next decade, what we want to do is make sure that we're reconnecting with, first and foremost, our local producers, our local artisans, to bring them into the area so that we can create a space that's exciting for the community. Because if the community's excited, then, the tourism and all that sort of stuff will come. But really, taking some time to reconnect with the people who are there, the businesses that are there, and putting our head down to have an action plan that rejuvenates the space. And I know a lot of people have heard that before, and it's not that there haven't been great efforts in terms of making it a wonderful area. But what we want to try and do, and probably something we'll get into, is make sure that our efforts as a municipal service corporation align with the public realm study. Because if those things are clicking, we can really create and curate an awesome experience, I think, for everybody. First and foremost, Ottawa Market will heed and follow the direction of public health for everything that we do. And I know that that's probably challenging for a lot of people. Being at home is tough. Not everybody has a backyard or a balcony that they can go out to. A lot of people rely on, access to markets to get fresh local produce. And we understand that and want to try and get to a point where we can safely provide that experience for people. Because the other thing too is you also have to keep in mind it is about the experience, right? And after this pandemic, and whenever it sort of resolves and we can move back to some community activity, things are going to be a bit different, right? So to get to your sort of question,
that, right? We're sensing that.
Yeah. So to get to your question, I think probably when it started, I really didn't know what was going to go on because, we're also a landlord and we have tenants in the building. And so at that point in March, we were sort of thinking, okay, this is going to be a month-long thing. And I think everybody sort of thought of that. And then as the days went on and the weeks went on, we began to see that it was a longer-term thing. And we're continuing to see that it's going to go on for quite some time. So it required us to really quickly pivot to what we can do, not as a long-term solution. This is going to be over, and we're gonna come back and
at some point,
yeah, exactly. But what can we do right now to provide some support to farmers, but also answer that question of local produce and providing that. So we're really excited that we're going to be launching a pick and click.
Nice.
So we're going to connect with local farmers to have an online market. You pick what you want, you click, you check out, and you pick it up at either Byward Market or Parkdale Market. We're going to have 3 pickup days a week to start. And just like the grocery store, you drive in, you call or you give your number, your grocery order from that local producer or producers, because there's a variety. We have about 26 or 30 that are interested and ready to get their produce online. And
that's
you take
great
it
to
home.
hear.
Yeah, and it's also, we haven't forgot about the cyclists as well. It works the same sort of way. You bike into the parking spot and it'll be put into your basket or whatever it is, and you're on your way. This, we hope, will be the first phase of bringing back a physical market in some way. I would sort of temper people's expectations in terms of, coming together and being shoulder to shoulder and all of that. I hope we can get there. But our first phase is this pick and click. And then as we sort of have proof of concept that this is working, we'll look to see if we can't provide some more physically distant opportunities for people to walk up and pick up produce. But at the same time, we have to respect public health, and we will follow all guidelines to make sure that people are safe and have access to the food they love.